Hi, welcome to the third video in the Excel to SQL series. My name is Talha, and in this video we will be understanding the dataset that we will be working with throughout this playlist, and we will also write our first SQL query. So the dataset that we are working with is called Global Superstore Orders. It's a very common dataset, has been around for a very long time. Let me just come out of my slideshow mode. And if you look through the columns of the dataset, right, so we have order date, ship date, customer name, city, state, country. We have geographic data. We have the demographic data, name of the customer. Then we have the regions, again, market, geographic data. Then we have information about the product and its categories. Then we have some numbers, sales, quantity, discount, and profit, right? The data has around 15 to 17 rows, and we've got 51,209 columns and 17 columns and 51,291 rows. Now, to do anything with this data in Excel, we would essentially have to create a pivot, create multiple views, slice the data, filter it to get some insights, generate some insights. Now, let's look at how we can load our data in DB browser for SQLite. But before that, I have a few slides prepared, so we'll just run through them before we jump to our SQL query, right? So let's first load the data and then we can move to the slides. So like I had shown in the previous video, I'll come to File on my DB browser for SQLite software. I'll come to File, and in File I will go to Open Database. Then I will go to the folder where my database is located. I will choose it. If you remember, we had converted an XLSX file in the previous video to a database file using a Python code that we generated on ChatGPT. This is the same file, and this file is also uploaded in the GitHub folder. I'll click on Open. Once I do that, I can see that the file has been uploaded. A table has been created. The name of the sheet is orders_compact. It is writing a query for me. It's creating a schema, create table with all the columns, column names, and the table name is the first one, and the column names and the data types. To execute an SQL query, to write an SQL query, I will go to the option here, which is execute SQL. And here, let me just change the cursor style. It's white, and I feel there'll be a little difficulty for people to view it in the video. Let me just change the color very quickly. Let me make it something that is clearly visible to everyone. Let me increase the size as well. Perfect. So before we write our SQL query, let's jump back over to our PowerPoint so that we can look at a little bit of fundamentals and theory, because the whole idea is that although we are learning something to do in Excel and then replicating that in SQL, but the idea is to build a strong foundation in SQL. So we'll be writing our first SQL query today, which is going to be select asterisk from. Now there are three parts to this statement, which is select, then the asterisk, and then the from. What do each part mean? What does each part mean? So select is essentially used when you want to retrieve data from a table or a database. You will use select when you want to retrieve a data set, a part of the data or the entire data from the database. An asterisk is like a wildcard character, wherein it specifies that when you use an asterisk, it means that you want to extract not specific columns but all the columns from the database or the table. Now, when I explained the asterisk, right, I said from the table, and that is what the third part of the statement is, which is from, which is to indicate the source of the data to be retrieved, specifying the particular table from which data should be extracted. So typically the statement would look like this, wherein you say select from and table name. Select from and table name. In our case, the table is orders underscore, table name is orders underscore compact, right? And upon execution, this query will retrieve all rows and all columns stored in the table name. Again, the table name is just a placeholder here. In our case, it is orders underscore compact. If you're working on a different data set, the sheet name in your Excel will be the table name when you convert the file in SQL in using Python or some other method that you can figure out. We did it using Python. And this statement, which is select asterisk from, is frequently employed when you need to inspect complete contents of the table. So follow through for a second. When I open an Excel file, I can see all the columns, right? I can see that there are 51,000 rows. I can see that there are n 15, 6 to 17 columns. I can see what is the name of each column. I can click on the filter and I can see how many years the data is for. So I have data for 4 years. I can see that. I can see my ship date. So something that was ordered in 2022, the delivery happened in 2023 as well, right? So if I can come down, I can see the granularity that there were orders that were delivered in, that were shipped in January as well. Similarly, I can come to category. I can see that I have 3 categories. You get the idea. In Excel, I'm able to play around with the data. Before even I do any analysis, I can filter the columns. I can look at what the column contents are. Let's close the Excel for now, right? But here in SQL, you don't see what the contents are, right? So when you come to the database structure, the initial page, that is the home page, you're seeing the column names, right? But you're not seeing the database. For you to database, you will have to come to execute SQL, and this is where we write our first query. I'm just going to zoom in a little. I hope that is fine. Yeah. So we will write select, right? And there is IntelliSense, which is, and this is there in every other language as well, any programming language, where it tells you, it senses what you're trying to write, and it tells you that, are you trying to write select? Then you can press tab to complete. Right, like we do in an Excel as well. We press tab and then the opening brackets appear. Select asterisk and then we'll write from. Again, you can see. But after from, we need to specify something before we run this query. So we'll have to specify a sheet name, or not a sheet name. A sheet is in an Excel file. Here we have a table. So our table name is orders underscore compact. How do I know? Because when the table is being created, the first thing that is mentioned is the orders underscore compact and the double quotes, which is the sheet table name. So I'll write orders. Now when I start writing orders, it says that there is, the first is an order, which is again an argument or a query that you can write. Then there is order date, which is the column specifically, and you see that the icons are different, right? So for example, when I was writing select, see I have a gear icon, right? It hints you, right, that, so select asterisk from, it hints you that it is a query, a statement that you are going to write. Then order again is something internal, so we'll not write that. We're not going to use that now. We'll look at it in the later videos. And order date is the column like we saw, but we want to select a table, which is orders compact. You see that the symbol for the table is different. So when I choose orders compact, press tab. Just a second, let me zoom out. Not sure what's happening. Yeah. Orders compact, tab. I can increase the size, so no need to zoom in and zoom out. I can press Control Enter for me to execute the query. Another option is you can click on this run button here, which is execute all or selected queries. Since we have only one query that we've written, so we can just press Control Enter, F5 or Control R. These are shortcuts that are there available. Once I do that, I can see all my data here, right? If I scroll towards bottom, I can see the exact number of rows, and here I can see that the execution, it tells me, gives me a message, execution was finished without errors. It tells me that there are 51,290 rows, and it says what was the line that was executed. That's it for this video. We understood how to write our first SQL query. In the coming videos, we'll learn how to slice and dice the data using different queries. But just to give you do a quick recap. Select is a fundamental SQL keyword wherein you signify the intention to retrieve data from the database, and from is to specify from what table or what source you want to extract from. Asterisk in this case was used to specify that you want to extract all the columns. It is a symbol that you use in Excel, use in SQL. My bad, I'm so used with working with Excel. Many of the times, rather than saying SQL, I blurt out Excel. So the asterisk serves as a wildcard character. It essentially means it's a shorthand method to express that you want to fetch all the columns from the specified table. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.